All volunteers, as Donna mentioned, will meet at 5:30. The evening begins at 6 o'clock. Please sign in and pick up your assignment. It's very, very important that if you cannot attend that night for an emergency, or if you're even going to be 10 minutes late, to call Katie or me. Katie's cell phone is at the bottom, right at the first bullet for helpful hints. Very important because, and the reason why, is there are families who are coming who, as Phil expressed in that other mom, the story I shared with you, parents are nervous. And if things appear to be out of order or doesn't look like we know what we're doing, they're going to be worried about leaving their child in our care. So we like to be very organized. Have you come at 5:30? Be familiar, you'll be given an envelope with confidential information about your buddy. It could be about their challenges, it could be about their food allergies, it could be tips for things that they like, for you to read and understand about your buddy so that you can make that instant connection with them when they walk in the door, and with their parents, so that they feel that you have done your homework and you've read up on their child, so you'll be able to handle maybe anything that comes your way. That confidential information, we do ask you at the end of the evening to give back to us. There'll be 2 boxes at the registration table. One will be for collecting confidential information, and another one will be about your feedback form for how your buddy did. And that's also somewhere in your packet of information. We're really trying to have a records trail, a paper trail of how that child did that night. I would also say to you too, we've had very few issues with the kids. I love a night when we don't have to use the doctor, and that's great. I feel bad that he might have a boring evening, but that's what we're supposed to be having, a boring evening for the doctors and nurses so that nobody gets hurt. But he never does. He's right there with the kids and enjoying what he's watching and loving every minute of it. But for us, we want to make sure that we give that feedback back to the families too. If there's a child who maybe you see as not having a good evening, or they seem off kilter in some way, the first and most important thing you should do is contact one of the Breathe core team members in green. Many of us are special ed teachers or have a background and can be that first line of defense to help and support you. You may have already tried distracting them or redirecting them, but definitely don't feel worried. You want to find us or the medical team to be able to help you if you feel like something's kind of going down the wrong path. They're running around, or they seem a little more violent or aggressive, and that's not, you maybe had that experience with that buddy before, but you didn't see that so much. Because the other thing I want to say to you, if it comes down to a place, and we've talked about it as a core team, where that child is having a really rough night, you know what, it might not be a good night for them to be here. And as much as we would hate to call a parent and say, you know what, your son or daughter is having a tough time, you need to cut your evening short and come back and get them, in the end, the families would much rather appreciate that we're considering their needs. Now, we haven't had to do that, but if it ever comes to that, I want to give yourself that permission to say, okay, maybe this is not a good fit. I mean, that's only if we've tried every other thing, but it's okay. We don't want to force the kids to be here. We want them to leave knowing that they're going to come back. And that's really the experience we've had, is that the kids love coming, they can't wait, and they know they're going to have a good time. One of the most important things that we want everybody to know, please turn off your cell phones, no texting, even if you're in yoga. I mean, we want you to be here completely present for 3 hours with those kids. We really don't, we want you to turn it on vibrate, just put it off to the side so that you are there for every second of it. The most important thing too is that at no point should you be alone with your buddy. If they have to use the bathroom or they need to be changed, there's a few people who might need to be changed, you should definitely contact one of the Core Green team members so we can help you with that. That's, again, just for safety. We do background checks, but again, it's the level of safety for the families and for the kids. Dress comfortably. Don't wear any perfume, no jewelry. A lot of people are very sensitive to smells, and we don't want you to wear earring in case earrings, somebody might pull them, you know, and then there's an accident quickly. Or a necklace might get ripped, or a bracelet. So, and we ask, since we do have yoga, dress comfortably. I would have that be sort of your guideline, you know, something that you would wear to do yoga or exercise so that you're comfortable and appropriately dressed to participate with the kids. Certainly, if you're here early enough, please come down and scope out the area, see where everything is, kind of plan your night, where you want to start. But then stay near the registration table, because what we do is when the buddy will come, we'll announce their name, and then you can come forward and connect with your buddy and meet their family. Katie and Linda do an amazing job of really trying to pair people up ahead of time so that the kids with the most special needs get the most specially trained buddies. We have a do not photograph policy. Again, when you turn your phone off, that's great, because we don't want to have any pictures of the kids, even if they're fine with being photographed. We don't want it on Facebook. We don't want it anywhere out there, to protect their privacy and their family's privacy. We'll let you know if your buddy has any allergies. Typically, we've been pretty good. If they have really severe allergies, they'll pack their own dinner. The biggest problem I have sometimes as a mom, and because I'm Italian, I'm always like, make sure they eat dinner, make sure they eat dinner, and sometimes they're way too excited to eat dinner. So when you first come here and they don't want to eat because they're just so excited to get going, that's fine, let them get going, but always go back and say, okay, let's try and get something to eat, even if they eat in spurts throughout the night. By 8:45, we try and wind them down. Some kids may come in their pajamas, some may put their pajamas on, but we're cognizant of the fact that they have to leave us after being so overstimulated to try and go home, and the parents now have to get them to bed. So we try and wind it down a little bit. You could do a puzzle at that time or read a book, just so that everybody begins to wind down, and when the parents come down the stairs, they see a level of calmness as best as we can.